AmandaLand. We up. Hello. How y'all
Hey, what's up?
doing?
Yeah, we're doing all right. It's kind of early over here in California, but we're doing good. How about yourself?
I'm well. It is early in the West. Dr. David C. Turner III, would you mind scooching over just a bit to center yourself in the perfect. So, y'all, we are here with Eric Morrison-Smith and David C. Turner. I'm surprised you dropped the doctor because I saw the photo shoot. So I'm like, why you didn't put? Oh, wait, you're muted. You're
Oh,
muted.
damn it, we can't hear you, bro.
Oh no, it's some headphones. It's always the headphones. We cannot hear David C. Turner. But if you click on the mic there at the bottom, and it should give you two options. There you go. I think that's it right there.
There we go. Can you hear me now?
There we go.
There you
Beautiful.
go. Yes. Yeah, I'm surprised you
Yeah,
didn't put
we live.
Dr. David C. Turner the third in your name because I did see the photo shoot and it was very intentional.
Hey, look, that was my fault. Also, too, my sincere apologies for being late. I have an old black man barber who starts cutting hair at like 6 a.m. And I love my barber to death. You know what I'm saying? If y'all in LA, check out my boy John Sims right off of Slauson. You know what I'm saying? He'll get you right. But
However,
yeah. Let's just say it was the prelude to everything we're gonna talk about today. So yeah, man. Shout out to my barber.
shout out to your barber. But you
I
clean
didn't even have
though.
time to put all my stuff in. Hey, we outside. I had to make sure, if I'm gonna be on I'll be on your podcast. I at least gotta have a lineup.
See, we see the edge. When I did the surrounded thing with these 20 black conservatives, one thing I saw in a lot of the comments was I could already tell when they didn't have a lineup that they was about to be on some BS.
Yeah.
Look, and it wasn't gonna be me.
Yeah. And Amanda, my favorite one was the dude who had the full beard and goatee, but had this shaven right here.
The pubic hair.
Yeah, I was like, wow, that's crazy. Like, if we're like, I ain't trying to start with clowning, but like, it did remind me of like that Key and Peele skit. Like, it looked like one of those costumes. So definitely saw a couple of those. It was
It,
definitely interesting.
it's art imitating life. It's life imitating art.
Yeah,
It's
exactly.
it's all the things. But being in that room and seeing so many of those brothers of multiple ages, right?
Yeah.
Really standing on just self-hatred and a complete disconnection from not just their own communities, but the facts of history and how it's related to its community, really said to me, this is why we need organizations like the Alliance for Boys and Men of Color. And I was so happy that I was going to be having y'all on specifically because I also saw in the comments a lot of people saying like, damn, it's a lot of black men. It wasn't a lot of black women. It was a lot of black men. And I'm like, yep. And I
Yeah.
remember when the election was happening, there was a lot of brothers that was really like riding for Trump. And then Obama ran out and was like, pull your pants up and vote, which also wasn't
Yeah.
helpful. And then he went back home. So please tell us about the Alliance for Boys and Men of Color, why y'all started this, where it's based, the work that's being done, all the things.
Yeah, for sure. So happy to start, and then David, feel free to chime in on whatever else. But the Alliance, we are a network here in California of 200 organizations that are focused on advancing race and gender justice by transforming policies and systems that are failing boys and men of color, our families and communities. And for us, like a lot of that work has really looked like doing state legislation here in California. So, like in our 14-year history, we've passed 126 bills focused on closing youth prisons, trying to take power away from law enforcement, trying to demilitarize law enforcement because we see that when we're on the streets protesting, we basically got armies showing up to try to, quell our energies. And on the same side, we're also like advancing policies that are really building up community-based alternatives to law enforcement and like trying to get young people jobs. You know, we got a whole campaign focused on ending intimate partner violence and engaging men in that work. You know, so a lot of our work is focused on the state policy, but then in addition to that, we do a lot of like healing work. We do a lot of work with our local partners to support them with their local campaigns across California, and then just do a lot of work to bring people together across the state because you know we got partners in LA, San Diego, Fresno, Northern California, basically all across the state. So we do a lot of like events and you know bring people together to like learn from one another, you know, and really make sure that we're building a vision for California that's from the ground up, and you know not necessarily just taking the lead of Governor Newsom. So it's a little bit about you know the work, but I'm sure David would love to add on as well.
Absolutely, yeah, man. And we're gonna get into it for real, but I think one of the things that I would add to that, right, especially coming from not only like being on ABMOC staff, but also having been a partner with ABMOC. So I was one of those. I was working with one of those community organizations that was one of those 200. And I think one of the things that really helps to amplify the work of ABMOC are the opportunities it provides young people and communities to be able to advocate for change, right? So
Mhm.
a big piece of the research work I do as a professor, as well as like a big piece of the organizer work I did prior to stepping into being a professor, has been about like building youth power and to watch young people, people who are impacted by the same systems that harm them, work to change those systems is, I mean, quite frankly, one of the most beautiful things I've ever seen, right? Like being able to have young people work to change policies that push them out of school, or being
Mhm.
able to work with those young folks or community members, right, who were harmed by police violence and whose families were killed by police violence, then go change laws that lead to police violence, right,
Yeah.
is not only a wonderful thing, but also I think indicative of what it means when we actually build community power to transform systems that impact those communities.
Yeah.
How would you say um how would you say the forces in legislative spaces in California have either worked with you or against you to continue this work?
Hmm. Yeah, I know it's like complex question. But Dave, you want to go first? You want me to?
I'll take a shot at this. I think one of the so in organizing, right? You know, we have
I
this
just
thing. Yeah,
wait. I was
I
like,
got you.
why? I was like, why is Eric throwing me off? You look like my ex.
Uh,
Damn.
yeah, interesting.
Hey, some people say that. Some people say he looks like Future.
No,
Come
I'm
on,
like,
Dave.
sitting there,
Don't
why am I
say
annoyed by this person for no reason? I'm like, I'm just
that. Damn,
annoyed by
annoyed.
you. And
Damn,
then I
that's
realized
crazy.
because you
That's
look like
crazy.
this nigga Devon. That's why. Okay,
Nah,
but
that's crazy.
now that I have verbalized it, it is now no longer a consternation. And now you are Eric Morrison-Smith, and you are not the nigga that looked like Devon.
All
Perfect.
right, thank goodness. And Dave, you didn't have to bring up the future, but you know, people be saying that Duke Dennis. I'm like, bro, I'm just me.
Dude, Dennis, I never heard that one.
You know, like, dang, can I just VE? But nah, that's funny. But I appreciate
That
I
was
appreciate
really
you
like
bringing
I
it
was
to.
like listening, and I'm like, this man is saying things that are important, but I'm distracted
Yeah.
and I'm triggered.
Hey,
Um,
but look, so you got to bring it to the surface because now we could address it, and then we good now, so it's all good.
someone in the chat said he does look like Future though. Uh, and now let's
Hey,
get back to the convo. So, how are these
hey.
people either being an impediment or a help? Because I have a feeling they're not being a help at all.
Yeah. So again, right, like in organizing, we have this whole thing called an inside outside strategy. Where we work to cultivate internal champions. These internal champions would be actual state legislators who we work with, right, to co-sponsor bills to help us advance certain policy agendas here in California, right? So we have a few of those like internal champions. now, right? Like people like Isaac Bryan and out of Los Angeles.
You about to name like 4 people, aren't you? The
Yeah,
fact
like
It's only about
it's,
4 to 5.
it's only about 4 or 5, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, it's
yeah,
only about 4 or 5, right? So again, right? Like so there are some folks who we work with, right, to be able to introduce legislation. The challenge is then getting the legislation passed, right?
yeah,
Like, and that's where we oftentimes have to build a lot of momentum for our campaigns. Because not only are there legitimate roadblocks within the state legislature, there is also counter organizing to the things that we're doing,
yeah.
What do
right?
you
You know,
mean?
these police is organized.
Oh,
These
Yeah.
probation
these
officers are
Pol-
police
organized.
is organized.
Like,
Police, probation, they're some of the most like
yeah,
powerful forces in California capital. Yeah.
yeah. So like, so we oftentimes are we have to build strategies not only to win the moral argument, but also, right, like we have to build strategies to counter the counter organizing,
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
And that is where a lot of the challenge comes in, because again, right, like it's a lot of stuff that we could pass, right, but because there are so many folks in our legislature who are so beholden to like what we call like the carceral economy, right? Like yeah, I'm about to define it. I got you. Yeah. Uh, and by the carceral economy, we mean people whose livelihoods, checks, all kind of other things come from an economy of punishment. So
Right.
these are people who are like police officers, probation officers, prison guards, right? Like so much of their livelihood is connected to punishment, right? And these are oftentimes the folks we find ourselves organizing against. In addition to, right, like the lobby for the people who are like from big real estate. Sometimes
Hmm.
even the people who are in the retail industry. Those are some of the biggest folks
Yeah.
who are working to pass legislation to make or to increase criminal penalties for theft, right? Like, so these are some of the folks who we've been organizing against. And it presents a very real challenge, right? Because when social change happens, it happens with 2 ways: either organized money or organized people, and we broke, right? So
Fair.
Yeah.
um, we gotta have organized people because they line the money up, and it's challenging, but we're still able to get some wins.
Yeah. Yeah. And just really quickly, I see you thinking, Amanda, but one additional thing to add to that is it also changes depending on the moment that we're in. So, like, many of
Absolutely.
us know that, like, Democrats, like, they are what they are, but they just want to be, they want to look good, right? So, like, when we're in the 2009, 2029, or excuse me, 2020 moment, like, when everybody was down for with BLM and they were
Yeah.
down with the progressive causes, they were more willing to like partner with us and advance like radical things, right? Like
Oh,
we
of
had,
course.
yeah,
They
like
was taking a knee with the
yeah,
kente cloth.
exactly with the Kente cloth. Exactly. We just wrote about that too. Yep. So like we had people here in California, legislators that were willing to support like abolition. They were willing to support. We literally have a state bill that got
They
passed
were
in
willing to support
2020.
abolition.
Check it. We had a bill that was passed that says that we are creating community-based alternatives to law enforcement. If you partner with law enforcement, you call law enforcement, you got law enforcement on your board, you cannot access, these programs. And then the result of that was we have like 5 programs that are alternatives to law enforcement. That was only,
Wait.
yeah, that's crazy. That's crazy. That was only able to get passed, in that moment. There was and matter of fact, we had worked on that bill 2 years previously, and the governor actually vetoed it. But in 2020, he signed it. The fact that we were able to get a bill that basically, was working on demilitarizing law enforcement, it was AB 481. Like they ain't doing that shit today. So it changes depending on what's like the hot topic, what kind of moment that we're in. And as you can imagine, these last 2 to 3 years,
Oh,
like, all that
Yeah.
progressiveness that people had has disappeared, to the point where we're seeing bills like there was a bill that basically got advanced that they wanted armed law enforcement on every single school campus, here in California. You've even seen like some of the more progressive people really advance like new 3 strikes laws and all these, punitive bills. So it's kind of interesting to, be in this moment where we saw how everybody was willing to advance
Yeah.
progressive causes, and then just completely do a 360,
Now,
during COVID.
in that moment, where was your head? Like, were you on some like, let's just try to run it up while we can, or were you like, wow, look, they changed? Because I know there was a lot of people that was definitely
Oh
on that, and
nah.
I was
No,
like, what are you? What
Oh
is
nah, nah,
no,
no, no,
doing?
no.
yeah,
We knew the backlash was coming.
yeah,
We knew it was coming because I mean history, right?
yeah,
You know, like, but I think what wasn't it's not necessarily that it wasn't clear, right? But I think like what I mean, I don't think anybody could have anticipated was the scale and the sort
Mhm.
of, I guess, veracity,
yeah,
right? Of
Veracity.
the like of the backlash itself, right?
yeah.
Because it's here, right? I mean, they're literally
Yeah.
snatching people up off the street. So we're in the thick of it now, but yeah, man, we knew.
Yeah.
Well, tell me this.
Yeah.
I think a lot of one thing I see a lot of people saying all the time is I'm exhausted. I'm so tired. And by the way, they're not organizers. They're just they're tired of scrolling and seeing bad news, right?
Yeah.
They're tired. But organizers understand that like this fight is a fight that does not end until like a bigger thing ends. Like to me, this fight doesn't end until like capitalism ends.
Yeah,
Like
exactly. Exactly.
it's not as basic as just who's in office. And I feel like what you just really enumerated for folks is the fact that even if you get something passed, it can get unpassed.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's where
Yeah.
I feel like a lot of people are missing the boat on how necessary it is for this coalition building to happen. So can you just expound for us like how just the structure of coalition building helps to at least let me ask this question. Does the structure of coalition building, in your opinion, help to balance the exhaustive effort of organizing at all? Or because I think theoretically it is, but then it's like, but then you end up having to manage more people, which
Yeah.
is
Yeah.
exhausting.
Yeah. So me and David, we talk about this all the time. So that's why we over here grinning and smiling at each
I'm just
other.
like,
So yeah.
These
So,
niggas.
so the short answer is right. Like the coalition building is how you build power. It is how you get transformative things done. And there is a lot of difficulty in managing, coalitions and working in coalition as well, because especially when we're talking about our people who have been traumatized and impacted by white supremacy, capitalism, and all these, isms, we come into the work with certain traumas, with certain,
Yeah.
issues that show up in our relationships with one another. So I think that the short answer is the coalition work does make it easier. You're able to spread the work if you have effective and healthy coalitions, but there is also additional labor required to make sure that you are in healthy relationship with one another as you are working on your particular initiative or campaign. So that means like really leaning into actually building relationships. Like you cannot just bring random sets of people together and expect that you are going to be able to work together effectively. Like you got to build relationships, get to know one another, do the one-on-ones, make space to have fun with each other because,
So
especially,
y'all doing retreats, y'all doing trust falls and things like this.
well, no,
yes,
You might not
absolutely.
be able to
basically,
touch the flag.
yeah,
Yes,
Okay.
yeah, yeah.
dead
You
ass,
have to,
absolutely.
yeah. You have to. And even look, like even we do a big convening every year where we bring together all of our partners across the state. And like the first day is just relationship building. In the evening, like folks are doing karaoke, they're doing healing circles, and all that good stuff. So the second day we could actually get to the work. And it really does make a difference and supports with like the burnout, with the conflicts that arise throughout the year, because
Yeah.
then you get to really see that like like this person is really in it to make change and really cares about this work, and you're able to navigate some of the conflicts that are often just like misunderstandings, because we can be very conflict avoidant as a society. So all that to say is it's necessary, it's super important, and coalition work is extremely difficult.
Well, if you ever
Yes.
want me to come and do some stand up at the beginning of one of your retreats to loosen the folk,
Hey,
let me
yeah,
know.
yeah, we
By
might
the
need
way,
that.
my
Hey,
karaoke song is First I Was Afraid, I Was Petrified.
Hey. Okay.
That's
And
always on deck.
David did a dope Kendrick album that just came out. And David got on the stage, lights off. You know, it was crazy, but it was dope. What song? Which one was it, David? We might have
oh,
video. We might.
oh yeah, man. It was whacked out murals.
Yeah. Yeah.
Again, like forgive me, like leaving professional decorum, but like that song is a real nigga anthem. Know what I'm saying,
That can I just say this though?
so
Real nigga anthem speak is what professional decorum needs to be. At this point,
so
professional
I'm just
decorum
saying.
is really people just fronting and lying. I need people to just keep
Look,
it a buck.
so yeah, man, I done turned my hat back. I was over there going up your rank. You know what I'm saying? It was
Yeah.
it was wonderful.
Just
But
to keep it up.
but real quick, I think also to add to Eric's piece about the coalition piece and like coalition building. Kelly Hayes and Miriam Kaba had this really dope book out called
Wait,
"Let
you
This
gotta
Radicalize
give me
You."
a comp. Wait, this is comp.
Um,
The way that you slid back into the code switch was incredible. This was
hey,
really, I mean, that was amazing. You said, when niggas is needing to really understand the
hey, no, I
solitary
got you.
responsibilities of our hegemony. And yeah, please tell me
I
about
mean,
Miriam Kava and we do this till we free us. Please, please.
yeah, no, not that one. It's "Let This
Let this
Radicalize You."
radicalize you. Got
Yeah,
it. Got it.
organized in a revolution of reciprocal care or something like that. And in this book, they have this quote that's like hella powerful, right? And I mean, I'm gonna butcher it because I don't know it exactly, but it essentially says that like, look, if you want to build movements rather than clubhouses, you need to be able to work with people who are different from you,
Yeah.
people who you may disagree with, and may even
If
at
you
some
want to be
point
in movements, say that part again.
rather than if you want to build movements rather than clubhouses,
What would we
you
consider
need
to be a clubhouse? Like we're just like a trap that doesn't sell drugs?
yes.
Okay.
Yes. Or a trap that's only been selling weed for the past 15 years and they moved up yet. What Cat
Mm.
Williams said.
Okay, fair. A lot of
You
crap
know,
being played. Got it.
yeah, right. So essentially, right, like so what they're talking about, right, is that like if you want to be able to build movements, right, you're gonna have to begin to interact with folks who are different from you,
Yeah.
and right, like you're gonna have to work to build those relationships with them. Now they go on to say that this doesn't mean that like you go like extend the hand to the enemy, right? Like what it means, right, is
Right.
what it means is that if you are going to we're going to build movements, right? Like to combat the forces that would destroy us, we're going to have to be okay with being uncomfortable, essentially, right?
Yeah.
Who would y'all consider to
And
be the enemy?
I mean, people who seek joy, right, in harming us,
Yeah.
Fair.
right? Like people who, regardless of what fact you put in front of their face, right, like don't change their mind. In fact, they're actually looking to ensure that those facts no longer exist, right? Like, the folks who are trying to take, right, like Black education out of schools, the people
Yeah.
who are working to ensure that the Smithsonian doesn't talk about slavery, the folks who are organizing white militias, right? Like, I'm sorry, but like some Nazis got to get punched in the face.
Yeah.
To
And
be
that's
quite
just
honest,
what it
there
is.
isn't enough punching in the face going on. To be
I'm
quite
just
fair,
saying. I'm just saying.
there just isn't. But you're right. I agree. By the way, someone said that Eric, you have a resting kind face. When I was on the reel, I had to actually like practice that because everyone would,
Arresting.
a resting kind face because people would be like, look at her, she's so stank. And I'm like, I'm listening. I'm just listening. So then I just had to practice this face.
That's funny. I feel like I've typically gotten the opposite, so I take that as a compliment.
You get he's trying to fight us. He literally doesn't know you exist. No, Nazis need to be punched in the face. Also, we need a new name. Right? We need a new name other than Nazis. Like these cats is cut from their own cloth, right?
Yeah.
Like I feel like Nazis is like unfair because it's like, no, they did the work of creating their own evil. You all are now doing your own evil. So you deserve your own name because I think it also distances folks from this unique brand of hatred that you just named, right? Which is not just the goal of, okay, getting joy. There's like joy in the, what do we all see on Instagram? Like, it's the man, what do they always say? The blank is the thing. Like it's not the pain, it's the someone in the chat is gonna say it. There always is an effort to just ignore anything that is the facts in order to just keep going with harm. And then I'm also like, why do you all want to harm everybody? Like, what's that about? The cruelty is the thing. That's it. Like, it's literally just like, we're not just going to get rid of homeless people. We're going to like throw your stuff in the trash. We're going to stomp on your tents. You know, we're going to do all of this extra nonsense just to make you scared of us because we didn't get pussy in high school. Like, that's what I'm watching on a regular basis.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah.
So when you are working with these coalitions and the alliance, and you're working with the youth, what is the facet that you would say is most influential in that you're having to fight them to like wrangle from them? Like, I don't know how, let me word that better. What do you feel like is the most influential aspect that you're having to steer them away from and wrangle them into like a different direction? Because, you know, people love to say it would be video games or music or the internet, etc.
I feel like I got an answer for that. Eric, you want to start? Or
I mean, you go at first. Let me think about it for a bit.
for sure, yeah. I think for me, like the biggest thing that is the challenge, and I'm pretty sure you've probably experienced a little bit of this when you was in that circle of red flags. But like one of the biggest challenges that I faced in organizing in general has been and continues to be that like people blame us for the conditions that we live in, right?
Yeah.
You know, so it's like, well, it's our fault that we're doing this, like, or you know, it's like because we don't do a certain thing in this way, right? Like, you know, we somehow are inherently a problem for that. And that, I think, idea and mentality is so salient, right?
Salient. That man has a doctorate. Salient.
Hey, I mean, I try. But it's so salient because it's just like, man, like there is like, okay, to give you an example. In one of the youth organizing spaces that I work with, is a grassroots organization in LA called Community Coalition. They take their young people on a literal tour of Los Angeles, right? So like they put youth in a van and make them count all the things that they see in their community that they would describe as bad. And then they drive to the west side of town, right? Or, you know, west of La Cienega.
Yes.
And like, okay,
north of the 10. Got it.
North of the 10 freeway. Now go count all those same things. Go see how many of those same things are there, right? See how less police there are, right?
Yeah.
Go see how many less liquor stores, right? How many more grocery stores? How many you know, how many more like things like farmers markets or things like that, right?
Yeah.
And literally, like once the young people begin to see the physical difference, it's just like, well, wait, how come our communities don't have that stuff? Right?
Yeah.
Or, well, like, I mean, it's not like we're in a different city. This is still technically the city of Los Angeles.
Yeah.
Right? Like, how come our street signs are dangling, right? You know, while they have trash cans every 100 feet? Like, what's up with this? Right? And when young people see the difference, right? then it's like, well, is it really because we don't care? Because I know people in my community that care.
Yeah.
Right. I know people in my neighborhood care, but do they listen to us, or do we need to organize better? And then, right, like, and then that's when the conversations start happening. Then we start talking about
turning.
Then we start talking about root causes and all that other shit, and then that's where and that's where things start to move, right? So for me, the biggest challenge to not only building coalitions but just organizing in general is helping people to realize that it is not your fault that we live in these conditions, right? Yeah. This is not, as one of my homegirls used to say, this is not by mistake, this is by design.
Yes. That's what I was trying to explain on Surrounded. I couldn't even get past just that, because you can't even have a real conversation about solution if you can't simply just acknowledge how the problem exists and who is causing the problem. And I feel like so many Black folks almost have decided to not want to make it somebody else's issue, because they feel like if we say it's our issue, then we have more control. But then it feels like they're deploying oppressive mindsets that don't actually enact empowerment. They actually embolden nihilism.
Yeah.
This hat that got me talking away right now. It doesn't actually empower. It emboldens. Not. You hear me?
Yeah.
All
yeah.
right.
Yeah. We hear you.
Brother Morrison-Smith. Yeah. Beloved, can you please expound for us upon
not beloved?
Side note. One time, okay, this is just a random because I feel like y'all appreciate this story. So one time when I was a rapper, I had a show in Long Island and I was behind God's back. It was very far out of the city, and a DJ had given me a ride, and then he got a call to get some pussy while I was there. And so he left me there. And so I was there, and the only other people that were there was Joel Santana and his squad. So they live, Joel's is from 152. I lived on 151st. So his brother was like, hey, you want to ride back to the city? And I was like, there's going to be guns in this car. And I don't know if this is a smart decision, but I'm going to do it because I need to get back to the city. So I get in this Escalade with 7 brothers and this white man who's driving, and the brother in the front seat is the biggest Black man I've ever seen. And my security guard brother Amir is 6'5" and is of the FOI. And he is pressing the driver, get the radio to work right. Get the radio to work right. And I'm just like, is Flex going to drop a bomb on a record tonight? What is this about? And the whole time they're referring to each other as beloved. They're like, hey, beloved, pass me that. They're like, yo, beloved, chill, beloved. yo, my beloved. You're my beloved.
I love it.
It's really good. By the way, the reason why he was so hyped about getting this radio turned on was eventually revealed, because finally they got it working. They was like, yo, chill. The debate is on.
The debate?
What? I wanted to hear the presidential debate. And they was really like, now you see, I actually do think his fiscal policies are I was like, yo.
Okay, that's what's up. That's funny.
And there was definitely guns in the car. Definitely.
That's hilarious.
So, anyways, back on. Game on. All right. So what made you say, or actually, let me ask this question. So what happens now, right? Because I do feel like for any organizer, there's got to be a feeling with the uptick of fascism, with the uptick of violence, with the uptick of just egregiousness, that there would necessitate an uptick or a shift in organizing. Have you guys talked about that at all? Or is there any kind of consensus around that being a necessity?
Yeah, I mean, we definitely, I think, are still trying to figure this out, but we're having plenty of conversations around it, just because, I think we've had conversations around, yo, what if nonprofits don't exist in a couple of years? What if philanthropy continues to dry up? And I think some of the things that are definitely coming to mind for us is just one, we can't be reliant on these systems to do anything good on our behalf. So like, how do we actually really start to, do some of this stuff ourselves, whether it's like feeding ourselves, educating ourselves, and so on, because like we see the ways in which they're trying to defund the Department of Education and so on. So I think that those are definitely things that are top of mind and that we're having a lot of conversations about. And then the second piece is like we're just really trying to get back to how do we build mass bases as opposed to just, organizing kind of like in our small cliques, because we do realize that
You
like
said
for us
math
to be able,
spaces.
yeah,
Math.
like mass bases, mass,
Okay.
the masses of people to be organized into the work.
Okay.
How do we take the energy that we are seeing where people are fighting back against ICE, they're fighting back against these fascists who are trying to take over the streets, and
Mm-hmm.
like, turn that into organized power so it's not just, singular mobilizations. I think those are the things that are really top of mind and that we're going to need to, really lean into the next couple of years, because things going to get crazy, and we're really going to need, all the people that we can get like on the streets, at the Capitol, wherever there's a fight, like having people show up and push back against, the things that we're seeing.
I've been really just ending a lot of my posts with the resistance is recruiting, and
Yeah,
just trying to get that thought process into people's mind that we are in a V for Vendetta situation.
yeah.
So we have folks who have questions. So let's take a couple of them. Hija de Guerra y Paz says, gentlemen, how do you foster hope as a discipline? Or do you?
That's
Or are you
important.
like, man, hope is some bullshit?
Nah. Hope is important. Hope is
Okay.
important.
Fate is serious from this angle, for the
Hey,
record.
look, I'm just saying, shout out to my barber, man. Are you faded? Right over there, Office Lawson. Shout out
Yes,
to my
yes,
barber.
you are.
But yeah, man. I think one of the things, especially when talking about first and foremost hope, right, is that people have to be able to imagine another way,
Yeah.
right? So people have to be able to see that society can look different,
Yeah.
right?
Yep.
And working people through that, right, is its own practice. Now,
Yeah.
hope as a discipline, right, looks like, okay, now we have to practice this daily.
Yeah.
Because, right, like, you know, we don't want to just like exist in a delusional state where, okay, yeah, like we live in this alternative world. No, we
Yeah.
have to build this world day to day. In order for us to build this, we also have to dismantle the current one. And it's important to help people be able to see that, like, hey, we're not doing this alone, and we've actually won things to help move us
Yeah.
toward this world,
Mhm.
right? Like, this is not all fantasy. This is not all
Yeah.
stuff that it exists solely in our minds. We have done things to help move us toward this direction, and it is totally possible for you to do the same. And you don't have to do it alone, right?
Yeah.
And that is where, we're able to cultivate hope. But that only happens when you're in deep relationship and community with one another, right? Because if not, right, like
Or
then,
it's
like I
trust.
said, yes, and trust, right?
They have
Like,
to believe you when you're like, no, really, this is not hopeless. And they're like, I don't know.
Yeah.
That's why you have
hey,
to sing
look,
in front of
to
each other.
hey, to give a very quick example, and after this, I'm gonna shut up. There, here in LA, working with a coalition called the Police Free LAUSD Coalition, while everybody else and their mama was cutting DEI, they're moving away from all kind of other stuff. We were able to push the school district, right, to double down on investments in Black students, immigrant students, and LGBTQ students, right, with I believe a $57 million investment,
How?
right, in existing initiatives through organizing, right? Through organizing, through
Mhm.
coalition building,
No, but
through
like, give us
bringing
like
people together.
tell us like we're five. Like through
So it's like
organizing
we're
for some
five.
people just means like, so they like they did a petition, in what way did the organizing organize?
What way did it organize? Well, first and foremost, having bases of young people from 15 different grassroots community organizations who are, really uplifting messages about investing in students, being able to have organized labor on our side. So, in particular, right, the teachers union in Los Angeles, who has been incredibly progressive, especially over the last few years, right? Like they've been moving in a direction that's definitely centered in racial justice, and being able to build those relationships between grassroots organizations and organized labor has been incredibly effective when pushing not only the superintendent of the school board, but also school board members to vote yes on initiatives that we want. Right. So,
So for like the people who
yeah,
don't know, basically what's happening is like, all right,
yeah,
we're going to these organizations and we're
yeah.
saying this is what we want. And we need you
Yes.
to write a letter or to make a phone call to say, hey, if you want our support moving forward, then we need you to support this thing.
Something like that, yeah. And in addition to that, right, like ensuring that those grassroots organizations like Students Deserve, like the Labor Community Strategy Center, Community Coalition, Inner City Struggle, the Collective for Liberatory Learning, et cetera, right, like making sure that organizations like that and people who are working to move on these initiatives, right, that we trust those organizers and we trust their bases, to be able to help bring folks together, right? Like that has been an essential piece in helping to get that win,
Now see, D
So
Steel is in the D Steel is giving me what I want to hear. We
Yeah.
did
there we
this,
go.
then we
Yes.
did this,
Yeah.
then we did this. We pulled up. Like
Yeah,
Ice
pulled up,
Cube at
literally.
Interscope offices, pulled
Yes.
up to the board meetings, activating and protesting outside the meetings. What
And
is
and and and,
activating?
and shout out Derek to social
Derek is
Justice
in
Institute,
here
man.
filling in all the gaps,
Yes.
just so you know. Derek been in here like, well,
Shout out,
actually, what took place was there was an
shout out to Derek.
Yeah.
because I ask these very specific questions because a lot of people, like y'all may have been in this work this whole time. A lot of people are just now
Yeah.
showing up and understanding that like we can't leave it to just y'all, right? And understanding that everybody has to not only be willing, but also have an understanding so that we can have more, like you said, mass, right? Like and more coalition building. And I'm seeing a lot more people showing up to organizing seminars and workshops, wanting to understand like what is the difference between mobilizing and activism, right? Like what is the difference between a petition campaign and a calling campaign, and like how do all of the when do we step up, when do we start breaking shit, when does that happen, etc.
Yeah. Yeah. And one thing just to add on to everything that David was saying is like for every issue that we've worked on, it honestly is a diversity of tactics. Like it is like one, again, the relationship building, it's the political education and helping people understand like who are the forces that are going to be in an opposition, what are their specific interests, and
Right.
like what are the things that are going to move them. So one quick example, we know our governor, like he wants to be president one day. I don't think anybody is surprised by that. And we know that the
It's
thing that
so
gets his
obvious. It's
attention
like
is so
corny.
obvious, right? The things that gets his attention are like media. So we're always trying to like get celebrities or get, op-eds published because we know that that's the thing that catches his eye, right? Like we're constantly having to think through these things and get to know who our opposition is so we can figure out how to move them. So there's a lot of different underlying things showing up at the Capitol. Like we've had, we're working on a reparations bill around education, and we've had this one politician that we could just not figure out how to move. They had been in opposition to everything, and David just pulled up to their office with 60 people. They were a no vote in the morning. David pulled up to their office with 60 young people, and they were somehow a yes vote in the afternoon, right?
How, David?
So sometimes it is, it really is like a lot of experimentation, a lot of like earned media, relationship building, protesting. It really is a diversity of tactics
A
that have helped us
multi-pronged
move.
approach.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
You sound like
Um,
Tommy Shelby on Peaky Blinders, because that is a character whose whole success rate was about learning the opponent.
Yes.
Everything about doing reconnaissance to the
Yeah.
fullest, so that when it's necessary, he could be like, well, actually, your mother
Yeah.
is over there, and I'm gonna really have to handle that. What you know about that? And they're like, what do you mean? How do you know about my mother? I sent her
Yeah.
to Ireland. And like, well, I've actually got my brother there right now, and it's gonna go down. Tell me this next question. That's a Peaky Blinders hat. David and Eric, how do you tell the youth that they need to get educated in learning the history of our people and prior movements to help them be ready for what is coming? How do you tell the youth? What do you mean? I think what he means to ask is like, how do you teach the youth about the fact that you need to know the past to get ready for the future? Like what aspects, what aspects in you all's organizing do focus on that?
Yeah. I mean, David's the political education czar over here, so I'll let him answer that in a bit. But I
Political
think that
education czar?
yeah, like David is, he does a lot of our political education and a lot of our trainings for young people. So he's, like there's a reason why I wanted David on here, and you see, why he's it's multifaceted. But I think one thing that's important is like actually showing up to where the young people are is super important, and also engaging people in conversations that ensures that you recognize that they also have value and knowledge that they can
Yes.
be sharing in the space, right? Because I think that sometimes, like, especially as I'm not like old, but as older
No,
people,
but
we can sort
yes.
of think, we think that like we got all the answers, like we just need you to like listen to us and and remember this information. But like that is the way that our education system teaches, and we see how much of a failure it has been,
Yeah.
right? Like, I think actually engaging people in education processes that bring knowledge out of them, that helps them, with critical thinking, and that also trickles in like history and, makes them feel connected to it is, I think, super important. Like, I'm literally rereading Pedagogy of the Oppressed right now, which I highly recommend for anybody who was thinking about trying to educate others, because I do think that it just provides an alternative method for educating people that isn't, just replicating what traditional education attempts to do. But
It's on
my
my
quick
coffee
response
table
is,
right now.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah. Hey,
it's a great read.
so yeah, man. Well, definitely Pedagogy of the Oppressed. Recommend that. I think to also answer that question, Amanda, one of the things that really matters when you're doing political education, and I'll specifically talk about doing political education with young men,
Mhm.
right? I don't care how cold your political education program is, how cold your
Mm,
analysis is. I don't care how sharp your theoretical whatever is. Don't none of that shit work if you don't deal with what they have going on in their relationship stuff
yeah,
first,
fact,
right?
fact.
Like don't none of it work, right? Like so again, right? Like we saw D Steele on there coming from the Social Justice Learning Institute, right? We when I was working over there, and what they still do now is work with young men of color, right? Black boys in particular, and especially Black boys who have been systems impacted, right? And when I say systems impacted, I mean these are young folks in the foster care system, young folks in the
Mm,
juvenile justice system,
Yeah.
people who have been incarcerated before, et cetera, right? Like, again, we were able to work with these young bros to do research projects to change policy at the city level, the county
yeah,
level, and the state level. But that doesn't happen when we just go in and start yelling at folks saying, hey, this is shit you need to learn to change your community. Nah, first it's, hey, who are you? How do you
Yeah.
define yourself?
exactly,
Second,
exactly.
what are some of the things that you have been through that have helped you become who you are today?
Mhm.
Third, hey, let's take some of that blame off of you because it wasn't your fault that your brother got
Hmm.
shot and you tripped over his body. Now I'm saying it wasn't your fault, right? That you live in a community where the police are more interested in harming you than helping you, right? Like it wasn't your fault, right? That you have to go so far to a grocery store, right? But if you wanted to get bad food, right, it's right there. That wasn't your fault, brother, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Like, and having to walk people out of that shame and that trauma
Mm,
and being able to address that trauma first and foremost, that is where you start the conversation because now the history is going to make sense.
exactly.
right? Like,
Well, how
and
did you all?
especially,
Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
oh, my bad. I was gonna say, like, especially when we started talking about, like, talking to young bros about patriarchy, talking to young bros about sexual violence, talking to young bros
Yeah.
about how do you show up as an ally for women, talking to young bros
Yeah.
about how
Mm-hmm.
do we not, like project and portray heteronormativity, right? Like, when we start talking about those kind of things too, if you don't start with talking to the bros about themselves, again, I'm telling you, it's not gonna work. Right? It's not,
I was in a
So
class in grad school where we
yeah.
went to Rikers, to the juvenile center at Rikers to teach poetry. And the first day of the class, one of the cats in there was clearly the coldest because everybody was like, "Man, tell Saquon, do your thing, Saquon, come on, Saquon." Saquon was like, "Nah, chill, chill, chill." And so everybody was on it. Finally, I was like, "Come on, Saquon, you know how much BS we went through to get in here?" He was like, "You know how much BS I went through to get in here?"
Exactly. Yeah.
Touche, Saquon, touche.
Yeah. Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. Yeah.
Precisely.
And go ahead, David.
Precisely.
But I would
Yeah.
love
That's
to
it.
hear from you all. You said, that you're not going to really get anywhere unless you find out like what got them here. So I would love to know like what shaped you all to be interested in doing this work and to find yourself in this space as your, sense of purpose. Don't talk over each other. Don't talk over each other. It's too much.
You see, we give a lot of space. We pause to see who wants to go first. This is like a team dynamic with all of our team. I mean, I'm happy to jump in first and say that I've had a lot of different. I've been system impacted by a lot of different things. My pops was incarcerated from the point when I was 2 up until I was 26. He actually just got out in 2019. Have been had lots of interactions with law enforcement, and I think the combination of those things plus just seeing my mom have to work like 2 to 3 jobs her entire life to provide, I think all of the seeds were there for me to become like abolitionist and anti-capitalist and so on.
I mean, it could
But
have
I
gone
was
the other way.
it could have gone the other way, absolutely. And I think that the two things that were extremely helpful for my journey is like one, I'm a reader, I'm a very curious person. So like even on my desk right here, I got like my 5 books that I'm, reading in the moment. And then secondly, there were a lot of people who quite frankly did a lot of hand holding and supported me along the way, because I would not say that I didn't come out the womb radical. I don't believe that any of us
Same.
have. And there were a lot of people who were patient with me, who pushed me. You came out radical. I mean,
I did. I really
some people
did.
do. Some people do. I shouldn't be so absolute
I
about it.
really came out like, what the hell's
Yeah,
going on out here?
yeah. I'll acknowledge that it took me some time, just because like I grew up in a family that I think wanted me to like be colorblind and those sorts
Interesting.
of
In
things.
LA?
San Diego, is where I grew up. Yeah.
San Diego's
But
an
I think
interesting place.
Yeah, San
Mm-hmm.
Diego is a real interesting place.
It's
It's
super
like
militarized.
exactly. It's actually extremely segregated still. Um, so I
It
think
doesn't
that
have
and,
good
and
food either, by the way.
would you say that again?
It doesn't really have good food.
Oh, hold on, man.
Maybe I was
Hold on, man.
taken to the wrong place because
Amanda.
I went down there and visited my homegirl and she took me to some real bullshit, like 3 different places of bullshit. And I was like, damn,
Okay.
like this was going
Well,
on in San Diego?
so Amanda, I'll tell you this: we have the best Mexican food in the entire country.
You
I know
should
we got,
have
okay.
been
Hey,
to Mexico.
okay. As long as we agree about that, like, look, hey, look.
Listen, the salsa tasted like New York City. Like that's what it felt
Yeah,
like. And I was like, how is this happening in San Diego? Like we are essentially in Tijuana and
yeah.
this is not what it is. So I was in the wrong place. The best
Yeah,
food I
you in
had
the
was
wrong place.
Arabic food.
Like
I mean,
I grew up,
but
I grew up
Arab
5 minutes from the border, so like I've been
yeah.
spoiled with amazing Mexican food, barbecue, all that other stuff. Like I will not defend anything else from
Okay.
San Diego as long as we can acknowledge the Mexican food.
It's
Um,
Mexicans. It's
That's it.
yeah,
Mexico.
yeah,
It's
it's,
called
it's
San Diego.
Yep, exactly. So as long as we can get that, I know LA people in the chat are probably mad because this is a debate that we sometimes have, but
It's a foolish debate.
Yes.
It's a foolish debate. It's literally, it's Mexico. I mean, that's it. If they moved the wall a couple feet, your name would be, Eric. Like it wouldn't get out. Enrique. Your name would be Enrique if they moved the wall 10 feet. Okay. Shit. Enrique Morrison-Sanchez is more like it. So, Dago. Okay. Now, what about you?
That's hilarious. Yeah, I'm from Inglewood.
I was born in the Freeman Hospital.
Hey, wait, you said where?
I was born in the former Daniel Freeman Hospital before it was torn down.
Oh shit, that's dope. Hey.
Yeah.
Okay.
I lived in Inglewood until my mother got robbed. And then she was like, we're moving to Van Nuys. And then she got robbed there too. So
damn.
So then we moved to Granada Hills.
I was gonna be like, man, I would apologize, but I'm like, I definitely wasn't there for that. But you know, like
it's fine, it's cool.
But people I know about it, so I'm like, I don't know. But yeah, man. I mean, I think similar to Eric, right? Like the conditions, right? You know, is one thing. But also, I think, you know, to Eric's point, right? Like, you know, watching these things happen to family, watching it happen to people in my community, right? Like, you know, that's one thing. But then, like, learning I could do something about it is when things change for me. I had this.
Oh, there you go. I'm talking right now.
I had this really.
You speak like a paper. Did you know that? Has anyone ever told you that? You speak like a paper. You set it up, and then you set the thesis, and then you prove it. And if I would just shut up, I'm like, he's gonna prove it. He just set it up.
I'm sorry. It's
don't apologize. What are you apologizing for?
We good. But yeah, man, I had this English teacher. I mean, you know this. You spent time in New York. He was a 5%er. By the name of
science.
Exactly, right? By the name of Mr. Cedric Robbins at Morningside High School in Inglewood, California. And he had us reading Pedagogy in the Oppressed. He had us reading, you know, Carter G. Woods' Miseducation of the Negro in the 11th grade, right? And, you know, I was over here, I'm just like, oh shit. So you mean to tell me like all this bullshit we learned in class, like it's just to deposit information back on the test? Got it. Oh, you mean to tell me, right, that like the way how they're teaching black people, they're training black people is specifically to maintain white power? That makes so much sense, right? Like, and again, now this is a little 11th grade, 12th grade me, right? You know, I'm trying to hoop and all kind of other shit, right? Like, you know, that's my whole like that's my whole trajectory. And then, right, like, you know, hooping don't work out the way it's supposed to. I end up going to Cal State Dominguez Hills. Now I meet this other brother with an afro named Professor Claybrook at Cal State Dominguez Hills. Now I'm taking his classes.
Professor Claybrook. Okay, Mr. Clark.
And he's from Compton, you know what I'm saying? You know, so like this brother from Compton, I'm from Inglewood. I'm taking a class for him. I'm like, oh, this shit is dope, right? And then the next Africana Studies class I take is with a former child soldier from Zimbabwe. Rest in peace, Dr. Menashe Perusa. You know what I'm saying? Like, so again, right, like these are the folks, right, who are politicizing me, right? And you know, I'm learning so much about like not only the information that's happening and things that's happening in the United States, but stuff that's happening globally, right? Like he was connecting, right, like the things that were happening to young people, right, on the continent of Africa, right, to George Jackson, you know what I'm saying? And, you know, like being able to understand how those kind of conditions were the same kind of conditions I was raised in, like changed how I saw the world. And
you didn't have a choice.
Hey, look, I'm telling you, right?
And you were like literally sent. Like if you were in a pinball machine, like all of those professors were the ones that was like, nope. This where you going. This where you going. This where you going.
And then my junior year, I get connected with Derek and them that was in the chat at SJLI. This is back in 2000.
SJLI, San Jose.
The Social Justice Learning Institute. So I get connected with that organization. It's like 2011, 2012, right? Like, and we're working with the Young Bros on that campaign to bring $90 million to Inglewood Unified School District. right, that they were able to do through not only organizing, but also a tool that we call youth participatory action research, where
Mm-hmm.
instead of doing research on young people, you do research with young people, right?
Mm-hmm.
Shocking.
And yeah, right. Like, look, I'm telling you, like the shit, it changed my life. It changed
Mm.
my life because I'm like, oh shit, not only can I learn about these conditions, but I can work with people in my community collectively to research and change them. Oh, fuck that. This is what I'm doing for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
So here we are.
Incredible.
So,
No,
yeah,
like
man.
I'm so happy to have y'all here because when I hear the rhetoric of Black people are the problem, Black people aren't doing anything, Black people
Mm.
are, and I hear this from Black people, I say, you don't know the right Black people.
Yeah.
Right. Because the truth is that one, we're not a monolith because there are so many Black folks that are deeply committed to this work and actually would love to have more people spreading the word about this work being done and that it is not a hopeless, hapless venture, right? That it is
Yeah.
not an effort of futility, because that's the other part of it. It's like the cynicism comes on the other side. It's, oh, you know, you Black people, why can't you do this? And then when Black people start doing stuff, they like, oh my God, y'all always doing something. And I'm
Mm.
like, I don't, what is really, you know, when I see Black politicians, I just see politicians at this point because I don't feel
Yeah.
like they're actively. It's a rare find, and you proved it when you were like, yeah, about 4-5, actually trying to, because
Yeah.
it's counterintuitive to be a politician that's in support of organizers because it renders their job irrelevant.
Yes.
Ultimately, they just become secretaries for the people, which is what they actually are supposed to be. But that's
Yes,
another
it should
conversation
be.
for another
That's a fact.
time. Like your only job as a politician to me should be what y'all need. Got it.
Exactly.
Y'all, that's what my people need. Hey, don't your people need that too? We should do, that's to me. Instead, they're like, okay, so
Yes.
how can I get a check? So how can people support you? Is it, whether it be monetarily through their bodies in terms of like showing up to be a part of the alliance, et cetera, et cetera?
Yeah, so I mean, if they check out our website, www.abmoc.org. There's a way you can volunteer with us. You can definitely donate. Those things are always extremely helpful because, like, a lot of the money that we get, we're also giving to grassroots organizers to engage in the state policy and, support with their local campaigns. And then, yeah, just like we do actions at the Capitol. We have events that are going on. We're doing political education. So I would just say tap in and, really support with the work that we got going on. And then wherever you are, like I know a lot of people might not be, in California, but just like tap in with local organizations that are doing the work. Like again, our power has to be organized with masses of people. So I would just say, like wherever you're at, even if you're not supporting us, tap in with the local organization that's doing some solid work, in your hometown, and just get involved.
As the brother Alhaj Malik Shabazz once said, it's not that we are outnumbered, it's that we are out
Yeah,
organized.
exactly. It's a fact.
I see you in your glasses, Dr. Turner.
Nah, I was just gonna say I really appreciate the full name. You know what I'm saying? As opposed to just saying Malcolm X.
Yeah.
The brother went all the way to Hajj. He went all the way to Mecca to become Alhaj Malik Shabazz. What kind of disrespect would I be serving to now be calling him Malcolm X? His mama call him Clay. His mama call him Clay. I'm gonna call him Clay. What kind of bullshit is that?
That's a fact. Yep.
So,
That's funny.
Thank y'all so much. Congratulations on when did you get this PhD?
Oh man, that was 2021. I have
Okay, so then
been
you just don't update your Instagram page because I want y'all to go to Dr. Turner's Instagram page though, because the photo shoot is dope.
Hey, well, first shout out to the homie Pierre who did the photo shoot. It was crazy.
Pierre was snapping.
But also, right, like I mean, that's up there for my little homies, right? Because like I rode the same buses they rode. I played ball at the same places they played ball. I got chased out of the same places they got chased out of. Nah, like just throughout being a teenager.
No, I'm saying, were you a center?
For high school, yeah, travel balls a 4 or 3.
He's a good hooper.
Yeah, I mean,
anybody who just casually bring up basketball, I'm like, they're a hooper.
Yeah.
Everywhere.
And you can't tell, but David's like 6'6", like you know,
Can't
you
tell.
can't tell. Okay,
That's why I
maybe
asked
okay,
he's a
my
5.
bad, my bad.
I actually can't tell. That's why I didn't ask you at the point.
Yeah,
Oh, no,
yeah, yeah.
I was not running point. But nah, man, but but just like I keep that up there, right? Because again, right, like the academy tries to like take your personality out of you and take your sort of hoodness out of you
Mm,
to
Yeah.
be brought into
Yep.
right like with the
Refinement.
university or academic structure. And nah, I ain't here for none of that, right? Like, I'm David Turner from Inglewood, California, grew up in the bottoms, right? Like, and like I like that is up there so that way those young folks, right, who I organized with and worked with, right, like you can see the tattoos, you can see the Crenshaw shirt, you can see all these other things because it's like, nah, fam, like I am you know what I'm saying?
mm.
And like you don't have to hide who you are, right, to do things for your community.
Well,
So
shout out
yeah,
to
that's
Orlando because he did hyperlink
yeah.
your Instagram page in the chat. So if you guys want to
Oh
be
Lord Jesus. Okay.
inspired, go check that out. Thank
Hey,
you
get
all so
prepared, David.
much for joining us and for sharing with us. And thank you for your service because what you are doing is the work that we talk about all the time that
Mm.
needs to get done, and it's not heralded enough. So we appreciate you.
I
Absolutely. No,
appreciate you having
appreciate
us
you,
on.
family.
Yeah.
Bye, y'all. Look at us. Great guests. Amanda.